April 14th, 2026. Over the Strait of Hormuz. The desert air hangs heavy with heat, dust rising in slow spirals from the sand as if the land itself is holding its breath. You can almost taste the metallic tang of tension, thick and oppressive, even from 30 miles away. The horizon glows faintly gold, but the calm is deceptive, too calm. Inside the command bunker, Brigadier General Amir Tavakoli leans over the radar console, eyes narrowing at the blips crawling across the screen. His team of technicians, young yet steady-handed, is silent except for the occasional click of buttons and the low hum of generators. Outside, the missile batteries are poised like steel predators, their barrels trained skyward, waiting. Every wire, every sensor, every pulse of the radar is alive, calculating, anticipating. Thousands of feet above, Israeli F-35s glide in formation, sleek and confident, engines humming with lethal promise. Brig Gen Eitan Levy, aboard the command jet miles behind the strike team, watches with an almost academic precision, expecting the operation to unfold smoothly. Pilots chatter over encrypted channels, referencing coordinates, altitude, and speed. They have never seen a defense like this before. They don't know what waits. Below, the Persian Gulf glitters deceptively, reflecting the sunrise like a mirror. Fishing boats drift lazily in the distance, unaware of the impending chaos, while warships hug the deep blue, engines idling, waiting for the strike to begin. You can feel the tension tighten like a drawn bowstring. One wrong move, one miscalculation, and it could all unravel in seconds. Then, without warning, the radar pulses flare. The Iranian third-generation missile batteries detect the incoming jets, adaptive systems calculating trajectories in real time, faster than any human mind could process. Tavakoli's finger hovers over the launch button, calm but deliberate. In the sky, the F-35s accelerate, trusting their stealth and altitude to shield them. They do not see the needles of fire tracking their every movement. And just like that, the line between arrogance and reality begins to blur. Something is coming. Something unexpected. The 6:45 a.m. The silence shatters. A sharp electric hiss cuts through the cockpit of the lead F-35. Warning lights flare, a cascade of red against the dim interior. Pilot Captain Yonatan Harari grips the controls, eyes darting between the HUD and the horizon. "Missile lock, multiple," he mutters, voice tight. You can almost feel his heart hammering, adrenaline mixing with disbelief. They were trained for this, drilled for high-altitude interceptions, but nothing in simulations warned them for adaptive, live-fire radar systems that could anticipate their maneuvers. On the ground, Tavakoli watches the telemetry with a quiet satisfaction. His team has waited years for this moment, the culmination of countless tests, field calibrations, and midnight calculations. Fingers dance across consoles as tracking data streams in, missiles armed and ready. Dust swirls around the base, kicked up by early morning wind, catching the sun in sharp golden shafts. There is a cinematic symmetry here, steel, sand, and sky locked in silent anticipation. The first missile erupts from the launcher, a streak of incandescent fury slicing the sky. Harari's jet veers sharply, but the guidance system adapts, recalibrates in real time. Smoke trails across the pale blue expanse, tracer fire etching chaotic patterns against the sunlit sky. Crew members in the command bunker lean forward, holding their breath as the F-35s dodge, jink, and accelerate, but the missiles are relentless. Communication channels explode with warnings. Target locked, evasive maneuvers ineffective. Another missile is launched. Harari feels a gut-wrenching pull as the aircraft shakes violently. Sparks flicker across the cockpit console. Seconds stretch like hours. You can almost hear the roar of engines and the crackle of intercepted missiles colliding with nothing but air, a deadly ballet choreographed in the span of a heartbeat. Meanwhile, Israeli command in the orbiting AWACS plane is scrambling. Brig Gen Levy's calm demeanor falters. His earlier confidence now gives way to grim realization. The intelligence had underestimated the adaptability of Iran's radar arrays, their ability to track multiple supersonic targets simultaneously. The team is watching the strike plan unravel before their eyes, like a movie they never thought could be real. And then, something even more terrifying. A third missile adjusts mid-flight, tracking a jet that had thought itself out of danger. Harari's voice cuts through the static. Brace for impact. But impact never comes. Not yet. Just the suspense, the edge of disbelief. The F-35s, trained for supremacy, are now reacting, not acting. The line between predator and prey has reversed. 6:53 a.m. Above the strait, the sky is a fractured canvas of smoke and tracer fire, sunlight glinting off metal as if the heavens themselves are observing the clash. Captain Harari's jet lurches again, narrowly avoiding a heat-seeking missile that seemed to anticipate his every move. Every evasive maneuver now feels like a desperate dance on the knife edge of catastrophe. You can almost feel the tightening in his chest, the way the human body reacts when the impossible becomes imminent. Below, Tavakoli allows himself a momentary glance at the faces of his young technicians. Sweat drips down foreheads, eyes locked on screens, hands steady. There's pride here, yes, but also the weight of responsibility. One miscalculation could turn this triumph into tragedy. The adaptive radar systems, newly deployed and untested in real combat, have proven their lethal potential, and now they are rewriting what both sides thought possible. Israeli jets circle higher, attempting to outmaneuver, but the Iranian batteries adjust with astonishing speed. Each missile fired is not random. It is a calculated response, a puzzle solved in real time by circuits and algorithms. Brig Levy speaks into his headset, voice taut, pull back, reassess. His earlier confidence has eroded into disbelief. Analysts in Tel Aviv will later admit they never imagined such responsiveness from what they considered an inferior system. From the ground, you can hear the faint whine of jets in distress, engines screaming against the thin morning air. The missiles streak upward and outward in deadly arcs, and one by one, they begin forcing the Israeli formation into defensive patterns. The pristine choreography of a planned strike now dissolves into chaos. You feel it. This moment is no longer a rehearsal, it is survival. And yet, in this chaos, a realization hits the pilots. Their training, their technology, their decades of aerial dominance are insufficient against this cunning, adaptive defense. The strait is no longer just a line on a map. It is a living, breathing threat, and they are guests in its lethal theater. Harari locks eyes on the horizon, spotting another incoming missile adjusting its course. His voice trembles, almost a whisper. We misjudged them, badly. The shift is palpable. What began as arrogance now teeters on the brink of disaster. And then, Tavakoli makes a quiet decision that will define the battle. He orders the final salvo, knowing it will test the limits of both man and machine. The F-35s have no idea what's coming. 7:02 a.m. The sky over the strait is no longer serene. It's a theater of controlled chaos. Missiles streak upward, their trails painting sharp, glowing arcs against the pale morning light. The F-35s, once symbols of aerial supremacy, now weave desperately through the Iranian defense net, engines screaming, their stealth coating glinting in fleeting bursts as sunlight catches it just right. You can almost hear the whine of the missiles as they adjust mid-flight, their guidance systems predicting maneuvers before pilots even react. Inside the lead F-35, Captain Harari's knuckles are white against the controls. "We can't break through. We're being funneled," he mutters, voice tight with tension. Behind him, his wingman struggles to maintain formation, both jets dancing a deadly ballet with unseen sensors guiding every countermeasure. Brig Levy, miles away in orbit, watches telemetry lines jump erratically across screens, the calm confidence he held at dawn replaced with a creeping cinematic dread. On the ground, Tavakoli's eyes never leave the displays. One of his technicians points to a live feed. The missiles are intercepting with uncanny precision. The adaptive radar predicts not only speed and altitude, but evasive behavior, creating a dynamic web that ensnares even the most advanced aircraft. The Iranian batteries hum and pulse like mechanical sentinels, alive with purpose. Dust kicks up around their bases as heat waves ripple off metal, framing the moment in a surreal, almost cinematic haze. Then it happens. One missile connects with a near miss, triggering electronic countermeasures that briefly scramble the F-35's internal systems. The jet lurches violently, alarms shrieking, and for a split second, the pilot feels the full weight of vulnerability. You can almost see the disbelief etched across his face, the sudden clarity that technology alone cannot guarantee survival. Across the horizon, other jets begin to break formation, their tight choreography dissolving into desperate improvisation. Each evasive maneuver is met with an adaptive, countering response. The psychological toll is as intense as the physical danger. Pilots are forced to think faster than ever before, to anticipate not just missiles, but the logic behind them. The battlefield has become a chessboard, with lives balanced on each calculated move. And in that instant, the tide of the battle becomes undeniable. The pilots realize superiority in hardware is meaningless without understanding the opponent's ingenuity. One misstep, one misjudged maneuver, and the strait itself becomes a trap. The calm arrogance that guided the strike just minutes ago has transformed into a fight for survival. A low hum from the radar fills the bunker as Tavakoli leans back slightly, the corners of his mouth tightening. "They don't yet understand what they're up against," he murmurs. But he knows the next minutes will define not just the battle, but the lesson the world will learn about modern air warfare. 7:50 a.m., dust and heat shimmer over the missile battery installations. Iranian crews, young and fatigued, wipe sweat from their foreheads, faces streaked with grit. Their eyes are wide, scanning radar screens, fingers poised over launch controls. You can feel the tension coiling in their shoulders, hear the low, constant hum of machinery, almost like the heartbeat of the battlefield itself. Every pulse of the radar, every whine of a missile, carries the weight of potential disaster or triumph. Above, Captain Harari fights to maintain control, jet shuddering under stress. Sweat trickles down his temple as he peers through the canopy at the bullets of tracer fire arcing in the distance. His training battles instinct. Experience clashes with the raw terror of seeing technology falter against an opponent he underestimated. The thought cuts sharply. How had they missed the adaptability of these defenses? How had years of aerial dominance prepared them for this? Brig Eitan Levy's voice comes over the comm, tight, urgent. Pull back, regroup, reassess. But the pilots are already stretched to their limits. Every evasive maneuver risks structural stress. Every turn might trigger another missile lock. The psychological strain mirrors the physical. Pilots' minds race faster than their hands can respond. On the ground, Tavakoli allows himself a fleeting moment to notice the human element in the chaos. Young operators, some barely in their 20s, sweat dripping, eyes focused and unblinking, operating machinery that could decide life or death in seconds. This is no longer a game of machines. It's a test of nerves, intuition, and resilience. And then, a subtle change. The adaptive radar begins predicting not just the jet's paths, but their psychological patterns, hesitations, slight overcorrections, the way humans react under pressure. Missiles adjust mid-flight, exploiting tiny human errors, while the F-35s, symbols of precision engineering, begin to falter under the weight of human unpredictability, coupled with mechanical ingenuity. From above, the strait seems calm again, deceptively placid. But the chaos, the panic, and the human cost ripple beneath, invisible yet palpable. The pilots are learning a brutal truth. Arrogance, technology, and confidence are fragile constructs when pitted against cunning, adaptive strategy, and disciplined human resolve. And just as one pilot starts to grasp the scope of the trap, a new radar pulse flares unexpectedly. Something else is coming. Something the pilots, and even Tavakoli, didn't see before. The sky over the Strait of Hormuz is a fractured mosaic of smoke, sun, and steel. Iranian missile batteries hum in unison, their systems fully synchronized. Brigadier General Tavakoli's finger hovers over the launch button for the final salvo, eyes locked on the monitors, heart steady, mind focused. The air smells of ozone and burning fuel, thick with tension, as if the desert itself anticipates the climax. Above, Captain Harari's jet struggles to maintain altitude, tracer fire painting jagged lines across the canopy. His wingman, Liltamir Cohen, calls out over comms, voice edged with disbelief. They're predicting our every move. In seconds, the adaptive radar tracks each shift in the formation, each evasive maneuver. Every pilot begins to understand. This is no ordinary air defense. It is a machine tuned to human instinct, and it has already read them like an open book. The first missiles of the final salvo streak skyward, bright streaks against the golden morning. Harari feels the jet jerk as defensive countermeasures trigger, but the missiles adapt instantly, recalculating trajectories mid-flight. Alarms scream, instruments flash, seconds stretch like hours. You can almost feel the tension vibrating through the cockpit, through the metal and glass, through the very air itself. On the ground, Tavakoli's team works in near-perfect harmony. The youngest technician, barely 20, adjusts a dial on one of the launchers. A seasoned operator watches the trajectory data with a calm intensity, eyes flicking between screens. Dust whirls around them as if choreographed, framing the scene in surreal clarity. It is human discipline and mechanical precision intertwined, an elegant, lethal ballet. Then, a moment of disbelief for the pilots. A missile that should have missed adjusts mid-flight and forces a near miss, triggering emergency maneuvers that throw the formation into chaos. Harari's chest tightens. Levy's voice is barely audible over the comms. They've anticipated everything, every calculation we made. The arrogance that once guided the strike has been shattered, replaced with raw, desperate focus on survival. The final salvo lands, missiles streaking outward in synchronized arcs. Smoke and heat ripple across the sky. The F-35s, symbols of technological supremacy, are forced to retreat, battered and broken in confidence, if not in aircraft. On the ground, Tavakoli allows a fleeting exhale, eyes scanning the horizon. He knows the moment is decisive, not for destruction, but for proving a lesson far greater than any physical damage. And just when it seems the battle has reached its conclusion, a subtle flicker appears on the radar, an anomaly no one had predicted. The pilot's retreat is only partially safe. The final chapter of this engagement is yet to unfold. 07:42 a.m. Silence falls over the strait, an uneasy, brittle quiet, punctuated only by the distant whine of engines retreating and the low hum of Iranian radar arrays. On board the Israeli command jet, Brig Eitan Levy leans back, face pale, staring at the telemetry streams. Analysts in the room exchange uneasy glances, the magnitude of what just occurred sinking in. They had expected a swift, precise strike. What they witnessed was something else entirely, the thin line between confidence and catastrophe. Captain Harari's voice breaks over the comm, quiet, almost disbelieving. We underestimated them. Every calculation, every prediction. His words trail off. You can almost feel the weight of that realization pressing down on him. The cognitive dissonance of understanding that training, intelligence, and cutting-edge technology were insufficient against adaptive strategy executed with patience and precision. Below, Tavakoli's bunker is calm but alert. He studies the radar feeds, watching the jets retreat. The young technicians, still tense, exchange quiet smiles. They understand something the pilots above may never truly grasp. Victory here is not measured in destruction alone, but in proving that ingenuity, discipline, and human resolve can turn the tide even against overwhelming aerial superiority. Across the strait, the Gulf seems to shimmer peacefully, but its waters now carry the memory of a confrontation that will be studied, analyzed, and mythologized. The Israeli jets may return, but the lesson of this morning is etched in every pulse of radar, every missile trajectory, every heart racing in cockpit and bunker alike. And somewhere in that quiet, a question lingers, unspoken but undeniable. How many more strikes will it take before the world fully grasps the capabilities of these defenses? 08:15 a.m. The desert sun climbs higher, bleaching the sands and steel in stark clarity. The Strait of Hormuz lies deceptively calm again, its waters glittering like glass, betraying none of the chaos that unfolded just hours ago. On the ground, Iranian crews inspect the batteries, wiping sweat and dust from their faces, hands trembling with exhaustion and adrenaline. Cameras catch fleeting smiles, silent acknowledgments of a mission executed flawlessly under pressure. In Tel Aviv and Washington, the mood is starkly different. Debriefings scramble to make sense of the unexpected outcomes. Brig Eitan Levy sits in a sterile command room, staring at the maps, data feeds, and footage. Analysts admit their earlier assumptions were catastrophically off. They had underestimated both the adaptability of the radar and the discipline of the crews operating it. Reports later described the incident as a wake-up call for modern air warfare doctrine. Meanwhile, the pilots, bruised but alive, recount the experience in tight, clipped phrases. Each moment of near miss, each evasive maneuver, plays over and over in their minds. The hum of engines, the flare of missiles, the constant tension, it all forms a vivid, haunting memory of arrogance meeting reality head-on. You can almost feel the lingering weight of disbelief, plus the quiet acknowledgement that this day changed everything. Back on the Iranian side, Brig Eitan Tavakoli steps outside the bunker. Dust swirls around his boots, the morning heat radiating off the metal of the missile batteries. He scans the horizon, eyes sharp. This was more than a victory. It was a message. Precision, innovation, and resolve had triumphed over overconfidence and assumptions. And yet he knows this is only the beginning. The theater of war is always evolving, and the strait will remain a stage for tests of strategy, courage, and ingenuity. Across the Gulf, fishermen resume their routines, unaware of how close the world came to witnessing catastrophe, or how the lessons of today will ripple through military corridors for years to come. And somewhere in that calm, the echoes of the battle linger, tracer smoke in the sky, trembling hands on joysticks, radar pulses that hum like a heartbeat still alive across the desert. This confrontation would not just be remembered as a clash of aircraft and missiles. It would be studied as a testament to the razor-thin line between confidence and defeat, arrogance and respect, human intuition and technological marvel. 9 a.m. In the aftermath, analysts on both sides comb through every shred of data, missile trajectories, radar logs, cockpit recordings. You can almost feel the weight of obsession in the air as experts attempt to reconstruct the sequence of events that unfolded in just under 2 hours. For Israeli strategists, it's a sobering reminder. Even the most advanced aircraft and pilots can falter against adaptive defenses paired with disciplined human operators. Brig. Eitan Levy finally speaks to his team, voice low, almost hesitant. We misjudged the enemy. Not their numbers, their mindset. Every word carries the gravity of defeat, wrapped in respect. Pilots replay the morning over and over, each near miss a lesson in the unpredictable synergy between human decision-making and technological innovation. You can almost feel their frustration, the gnawing tension of understanding that superiority is never absolute. On the Iranian side, Tavakoli debriefs his crews. Each young operator is commended for composure under stress, for patience, and for precision. Your discipline turned the tide, he tells them. Dust swirls around the missile launchers, the desert wind carrying both the heat and the triumph. Each pulse of radar, each calculated missile flight is now etched in memory, lessons carved in steel and sand that will shape doctrine for years to come. Outside, the strait seems to resume its ordinary rhythm, yet nothing is the same. Global shipping routes, naval doctrines, and geopolitical calculations now bear the invisible imprint of this clash. What began as a routine strike turned into a study of humility, ingenuity, and the razor-thin line between dominance and disaster. And somewhere, high above or deep below, someone is already asking, how will the next engagement unfold? Will arrogance return, or will the lessons learned today prevent another near catastrophe? The answers linger, unresolved, waiting for the next chapter of the conflict. 9:45 a.m. The Strait of Hormuz basks in late morning light, its waters calm, but carrying the invisible scars of a battle that reshaped perceptions. On board the retreating Israeli jets, the pilots exchange silent glances, the kind that carry weight beyond words. The sky that once symbolized dominance now humbles them with the memory of near defeat. You can almost feel the tension unspooling, replaced by a grim, reflective awe. Brig. Levy leans back in the command jet, eyes scanning the horizon. The realization is complete. Technology alone cannot secure supremacy. Adaptive strategy, disciplined crews, and human intuition can, and did, turn the tide. Even as retreating engines fade, the lesson lingers in every cockpit, every command room, and across every planning table for years to come. On the ground, Brig. Tavakoli surveys the missile batteries one last time. The young operators are tired, faces streaked with dust and sweat, yet their eyes shine with the quiet satisfaction of accomplishment. They have proven that ingenuity and discipline can equalize even the most technologically unequal engagements. Each radar pulse, each coordinated missile launch stands as a testament to patience, precision, and courage under pressure. Historians, analysts, and military strategists will later call this confrontation a turning point, a case study in the fragility of arrogance and the enduring power of calculated respect. Arrogance gave way to humility. Overconfidence was met with adaptive mastery. The clash over the Strait of Hormuz became more than a military encounter. It became a story of human resolve, technological foresight, and the thin line separating triumph from disaster. And as the sun climbs higher, glinting off the calm waters, the world begins to understand what those jets and missiles already know. Arrogance may strike first, but respect, preparation, and human ingenuity endure. And if you've stayed until this final moment, thank you. If you want to keep exploring events like this, deeper, more real, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what comes next. Thank you for watching.